going on, everyone? Welcome to the Drop Dad Podcast. I am one half of your coaching. We're a hosting team. Hosting team, Troy Green, and with me as always, my good buddy Kevin Peterson.
Hello.
Apparently I can't talk today.
Yeah, you're you seem like a little stressed. You seem like you might need a little massage.
You know, I could use a little massage. Do you want to massage me?
Get some baby oil. Let's just get a kiddie pool of baby oil.
How much do you charge for the happy ending?
For the sad ending, it's $10.
It's always going to be a sad ending.
Happy ending, $5. It's cheaper.
Well, right on. I think your assessment is right. It has been a busy week, so let's get into this beer. So maybe I can calm the nerves a little bit and
all right,
and relax. So this is your beer that you brought.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I went to Missoula and went to the beer store, as I call it, Orange Street Market, and just grabbed this one. It just kind of shot out at me. It's called Creeper Pigeon by Glacier Brewing in Polson.
Take a good look at the can. It looks like a creeper pigeon.
Yeah, that's why I did it, because I was like, the pigeon looks like it's like looking around a corner and it's just watching you.
I feel like it's judging me by the way that it's looking at me. Like, you really gonna drink this beer?
Yeah, it's a 7.8% milkshake IPA. So
let's see how milky. Ooh, smells good. Cheers. Oh, that's good.
I like it.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, that's good. Milkshake from Polson, Montana. And for those of you that are not in Montana, for you to find Polson, good luck.
I think I've driven by it once or twice, maybe. Pretty small, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Polson.
That's good. It's really small.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Does it taste like a milkshake?
No.
Yeah.
Describe it.
Okay. It tastes like an Indian pale ale.
Yeah.
Pale ale.
It's like an IPA. It's very, but it's like, it's got the hoppiness, bitterness,
but not the harshness. It's really smooth, kind of like a milkshake.
I don't know what makes a milkshake IPA and milkshake IPA.
Milk?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. I don't know.
Sometimes you know, I noticed that like beer companies will put like cacao nibs and stuff to give it that chocolate, and then they'll call it like hot chocolate or like a chocolate drink, you know. So they put the cacao nibs in it. Is
that what they put in it to give it like a chocolatey texture?
A lot of times, yeah. Like they won't put like a Hershey bar in it or whatever. Like,
well, why the fuck not?
I think it would probably turn out like shitty.
It's real bad.
You got to like go all the way back to like the ingredients to get it. You know, like that's why it's so hard to make things like, you know, a peanut buttery beer. You can't just throw peanut butter cups. You got to like get like the peanut butter powder that they have, like so you can
crushed up peanuts.
Mix. Yeah, so it'll actually mix in well. Right. So
yeah,
but that's just my own like research into that kind of beer.
Yeah, and we're talking about making a beer again.
Yeah, well, that would be cool. I'm down.
I think we should, and then maybe we should make it over the course of an episode.
Yeah,
and then I got a couple cool dry places to store it, and then we'll check in on it. I liked that idea.
We'll face the cameras towards your kitchen, and we'll just be like cooking in a pot and stuff or whatever. Or, I don't know what the equipment looks like, but
yeah.
Or is it one of those ones that's like outside, like propane?
I don't have one of those.
Yeah, I don't.
I the last time I did it over a stove. And the only downside to that is really hard to regulate the temperature because like when you're making the wort, it has to be within a few degrees of whatever the recipe calls for.
Yeah, and you have to, so if you heat it up and then you have to like set it off to the side and like check the temperature and stuff, that's, you're right. Yeah, that is really hard.
But those propane burners allow you to have a little bit better control over that heat. But yeah, we could do it on my stove. And then check on it and try it. And then our beer would be the beer of the week. One week.
Yeah, we could drop dad beer.
Drop dad beer. Yeah.
Whatever we make, drop dad ale or whatever, you know.
we'll call it like Kevin's sweat.
Yeah.
Which
We'll make a special batch of when I'm sweating over the pot. Like, this is Kevin's sweat.
That's where all the good flavor comes from.
Yeah. Get that like saltiness on the back of your tongue. That's me.
Yeah.
That's me you're tasting. That's my essence.
So as we've recorded these podcasts, last year when we were recording Doom Vision, it was hotter than sin in here, and we were recording in the middle of summer. You remember this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So I have an announcement for you. We are officially getting a new furnace and central AC.
Oh, nice.
So
That's great.
as we're recording now, we're going to have AC pumping into the house.
Woohoo.
It's going to be cooler than a witch's titty and a brass bra in here.
Hey, you know, when they record like shows and movies and stuff, they always say it's like really cold because they don't want actors sweating balls out there and ruining their makeup and stuff. Don't want to ruin my makeup.
I know. And you usually have such good makeup when we come to shoot that I don't want to ruin it. But I figured you'd be excited to hear that we're taking a step towards AC. That and the other thing is last year we had 2 window units running. Obviously, we can't run the window units when we're recording a podcast because the audio gets, the fan and the compressor in the background. But like running those 24 hours a day to have your house just maybe a degree or 2. I mean, like, 'cause we got a fairly large house, but a degree or 2 cooler, like, shot our fucking power bill through the roof, man.
Yeah, I remember at one point I was sitting over there on that side and I was just pouring sweat, and Jess was like, I'm cold. Do you want to sit here? And I came over here and sat, and I was like, oh my God, this is where all the cold is.
Yeah.
Pouring sweat over there.
They kicked out some cool air, but it just didn't linger in the room. It was like you had to sit in the right spot where there's a cross draft and you could get all that cool air.
Yeah, I have a huge AC. Pain in the ass to like, I have to go load it up, and I had to get like a special like bracket thing to hold it up because it's so big. But,
that's what she said?
Yeah. Well,
yeah. Yeah. So I'm excited about that. But we were talking about AI. I wanted to talk to you about that first because I wanted you to be excited to record podcasts whenever, our hiatus from Doom Vision is over and we do those long recording sessions. Yeah, for those of you that don't know or haven't listened to the Doom Vision podcast, probably should check that out. But we recently finished recording season 3 and finished Impossible Landscape. So
yeah, now we're on to the next thing whenever that starts.
Yeah.
So
yeah, a lot of emotion shared at the last episode.
Yeah. Well, wait till you see it. We were all pretty red in the face, and but your wife said I was stone cold. I kind of was, I guess.
I think you're just telling the story from a different perspective, right? Like if I can't say anything because I don't want a spoiler.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe we'll talk about it a little more when all the episodes come out. But yeah, it's a transition period for sure.
Yeah. I'm excited for the next thing because the next thing is we get to, do it all over again, but with different story, different characters, different feel. And I've discovered that I want to make mine I started writing a prequel to my homebrew. So
you're writing a prequel to a story you haven't wrote yet?
Correct. Yeah. So I already have.
You just call that an intro?
I already have the solid idea for my intro or for my homebrew for the next chapter of Doom Vision. But then I was like, well, leading up to this, it would be really cool if I did this. Well, anyway, I'm gonna go. So I started looking into because when you write a Delta Green scenario, you have to like do research and stuff, and you have to be like, okay, well, it's weird shit that you have to Google sometimes, like, oh, what's the weight limit on a carry-on bag, or you know what I mean, like the weird shit that like you have to think about.
I'm convinced I'm on a list somewhere because of the one I'm writing.
You are like the 90th person that's ever said that, who like, I see that on the internet. I've said it. Brandon said it. Like, you end up Googling weird shit that you're like, why are they Googling that? What are they doing? What are they up to? You're like, how many fucking things does it take to build a bomb or whatever?
Yeah. There are things that I've asked Google that even when I'm asking it, I'm like, I don't know if I want to be asking Google to find this. And then I don't know if I want to click on the link for what I'm looking
I should
for.
Go to the dark web for this one. I should set up my VPN.
what is it like? Duck Duck Go Go doesn't track or something. It's one of those Go Go Duck Duck some search engine like that doesn't like is tracker free, and I might have to start using that as my search engine just to prevent me from being added to the no fly list or something.
You get a knock at your door.
Yeah, and one of the cool things that I think I'm doing with my campaign is I'm using a lot of AI resources to really bolster some of the things that I don't have the talent to do. So, I sent you a link a couple weeks ago now about AI generated art. It's kind of like Mid-Journey, but it's not. It's its own thing, and it's free. So I'm not going to publicize it because I want it to remain free as long as possible. But we've used it. I've used it a bunch for handouts. And I know you were using it a little bit.
I have a hard time narrowing it down like to what I want it to show me. But once I kind of tweak it a little bit, and this is not to say that like, there's a big thing about AI and like art that you hire somebody to do for you. And there's like this big outcry, like AI is going to replace these like freelance artists that you could hire and stuff. And it's like, well, in our case, not only do we not have like the money, which is why we're doing
broke.
It free.
We're broke. Yeah.
But like, it's handy to get an idea of like, if you're like, okay, I need a journal that's under a bed, like how simple is that? Like, you're not going to, I want to pay $0. I want to pay less than zero for that, every time. Like, I just want it to put an image in someone's mind. So I would do this for a D&D campaign. I would do this for, in fact, for our D&D game, I generated some art for my character, and it turned out really well. So I was like, I saved it and I was like, sweet, this is what my guy's going to look like. So it's just a tool,
And truth be told, if I had the money, I'd hire an artist.
Well, like if we have something that we really want, we would hire an artist for it.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, or we get Melanie to do it.
Yeah.
For free.
We hire her.
Yeah.
She spends money to do this stuff for us. So
we give her pats on the back.
We do. We give her attagirls.
we pay her.
Brandon does some heavy petting for us.
Yeah. Brandon, we're gonna need to take one for the team, buddy. You're gonna have to drink some Gatorade.
So do you know what I've been doing with my prompts for my AI images? I've been asking Chat GPT to generate my prompt for me.
Oh, that's smart.
And what it does is it gives a really description, a really detailed description, and then I plug that into my art generator, and it gets a lot closer, and it gives me less things to narrow down. But I've noticed that it has difficulty doing some things like making realistic looking eyes that are both looking in the direction that you need them to. I generated one the other day where the eyes, I'm not kidding you, were looking two different directions. They could have looked at you and Jess at the same time.
God, I like when have it holding something, like be like a guy holding a cup, and it'll just be like 50 fingers just like wrapped around this cup.
Yeah, it does
So
not
weird.
do eyes or hands well.
No.
And I actually struggled with. It was easier for me to get I don't want to say accurate, but a passable human representation than it was for me to get it to do a machine in a factory, a very specific machine in a factory that I needed.
You know what I've noticed helps, because like you can see a lot of other people's in the tool that we use. You can if you do a celebrity, it's able to knock those out of the park usually. I saw somebody was doing Orson Welles playing poker or something like that, and I was like, holy shit, that looks like that's exactly what, or you can really make out celebrities, probably because they're everywhere, and so the internet, or the AI is like, I know exactly who that person looks like. But if you're generic, you're like, it's a guy on a street, it's just like, what does a guy look like? I think he's got eyeballs. We'll put him here. But if if it's able to scour images of Pierce Brosnan, it's able to find a billion of them. So
and that's one of the things that I've had to narrow down on, like, especially when you're for the purposes that I'm using it for, creating a character or an image of the character being extremely descriptive about their appearance.
Oh yeah.
You know, down to 5'9", 175 pounds, has a dimple on his right cheek. You know, like extremely descriptive.
Mm-hmm.
Eyes are approximately 35 centimeters apart. You know, not that descriptive, but like all that stuff helps.
Yeah, I like seeing like you can tell that it's just some teenager on there because they're like naked boobs woman. You know, it's like. And then it generates like a swirly woman on a beach who's like all fucked up and with like one eye, and they're like, "You like this?" Like, and then they just keep doing it. You just keep seeing that pop up.
Version, upscale.
Come on, give me that sweet AI boob.
Could you imagine if we had that tool when we were a kid? The things that you would generate.
Oh yeah, we'd crack it. We'd crack it, and like 48 hours, we would have had it by now. We'd been like, all right, show me like a nipple, but not a nipple or something like.
Show me two circles.
Yeah, you know, you
one protruding from the other.
I need one spewing milk. No, if we were patient enough to wait for dial-up.
Oh my god!
For your moms to get off the phone. Get off the phone! I'm doing research.
Do you remember the days of the days of waiting for images to load online?
Oh yeah.
And you just watch the bar
pixel by pixel.
Yeah. Oh my god. I want my kids to experience that so that they learn patience. I think that's something that's lacking in this generation is they've never had to be patient for anything.
Yeah, you've never been like, well, anyway, I'm going to go make an entire meal, and then it still won't be loaded by the time I get back.
Or like 30 minutes to an hour for a song.
Oh yeah. 2 days once I downloaded a movie for 2 days.
Oh my god.
Back in the illegal downloading days. I remember the first movie.
Allegedly you did that.
Allegedly. Well, okay, so we
don't say the movie because the company might still come after you.
Oh shit. Well, we got a cease and desist from HBO or whatever. So
well, I've got one too.
Yeah. So it's like, anyway, I remember the first movie we downloaded. I'll leave it at that. But yeah, Debbie Does Dallas. No, I'm just kidding.
I remember the thing I used to do was TV shows. I would download full seasons of TV shows and watch those. And I about said the name of all of them, but there was quite a few that I enjoyed their plots, so I would watch them.
Well, see, when you're that age, either like you don't really think about it. Like when you're young, you're just like, okay, and then your computer is just like full of STDs.
Yeah,
just like
computer AIDS.
I've crashed a computer once because of downloading.
Have you really?
Yeah, it just bricked. It just you'd turn it on and nothing would happen, and it was just like. And then I remember, I think somebody took it to a guy, and the guy was like, "Holy shit!" He was just like, "Oh my god, this thing is like I don't even want to touch it."
Here's another thing. I think that this next generation isn't acclimated to solving problems. In that sense, because I remember as a kid or as a young adult having to be extremely resourceful because it was the family computer. And if I had downloaded something that contained a virus, I was the one that had to figure it out, and I had to figure it out before my mom and dad got home and checked the fucking computer or noticed. You know, like I'm sure there is some Nigerian prince out there that has my parents' banking information.
Yeah.
From back in the day, because internet security was not what it was, what it is now.
Oh. Yeah, I remember when like PlayStation went down. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
And I was taking my network security class because I'm an IT kind of major person in college, and it had just gone down like a 6 months to a year before I took that class, and so we were like reviewing and then our our professor was like, yeah, they didn't have any network security like at all protecting their networks, and it was only a matter of time, but they've been around. Like PlayStation's been online for how many ever years. It's just now like somebody's like, hey, there's nothing keeping me from fucking telnetting into your router or telnetting into your whole system and shit. So then they were like, and then he was like, yeah, the only thing that you can do in that situation, if they're in, you just pull the plug. Or, that's the only way to do it. So kind of interesting. Now they have like really good security, I guess. But
well, we've come a long way in the means of like internet security, but shit like that definitely helps. But you still hear about companies getting hacked almost on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
You know
Home
what I mean?
Depot, Target, whatever they.
Yeah.
8 million cards or whatever. There was one. This might be a longer story. So were you going to say something?
Nope.
Okay. In that class, we watched a video about it, and it was really interesting. It was code that some like security, like network and infrastructure security people found it from the government. They found it, and they don't know who wrote it because it's so well written, but it's code that is for regulating turbine speeds for and if you know anything about like any turbine, like anything that uses a turbine, plants, things like that, like nuclear facilities, everything that uses a turbine, basically what this would do is it would slow the speed of the turbine so that it would become off kilter and would break, and while simultaneously giving a green light saying, hey, we're fine, turbine speed is perfect, you don't have to worry about it. It was like incredibly advanced code that like you would have to go line by line of this million sheet code or whatever to find it, and it was like these experts scoured it and found it, and it was really interesting but really scary because like they were like, this had to have been written by like a foreign country who was implementing it into our security or our national stuff. Anyway, it was really cool to like watch that video, but really scary. But it was simultaneously covering its tracks dynamically.
That's
So
really scary.
Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, that was a cool class. I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked all those classes for the most part. A lot of them were really cool.
Yeah. I've tried to dabble in coding. Like, I don't know. We talked about it a few weeks back about how I get like hyper fixated on things. And coding was one of those things I got hyper fixated on for a good period of time. And so I started to learn how to write some Python. And the application of knowing that information, knowing how to code now is such a skill that's going to be beneficial in the future. Yeah, granted, we have AI. They can do a lot of things now, but the practical application of there's a lot of things that I could do in my daily life that I could automate if I knew how to code.
Oh, yeah.
And it would just make my life a whole lot easier.
Yeah, the job I have right now, I do coding on a daily basis, but like it's not like Java or Python, it's SQL Server code. So like a lot of times it's just data related code and setting up like procedures for it.
And what is it? Queries?
Yeah.
Jeez, that took me a lot to get out.
Yep. Yeah. It's a lot of that. It's transforming data.
Yeah.
My boring job is. So
I was in a 2-hour meeting today just about data. And
yeah.
Whew.
Oh yeah. It's fun.
Yeah. It was actually a good conversation. Half the battle is knowing how to get the data. The other half is the story that it's telling.
Yep.
I could talk about data forever because that's a big portion of what I do in my job too. But we could then just have a podcast about watching paint dry too.
Did you know that it's both data and data?
I did not know that.
Because it's just the way that people have said it. Anyway, data, whatever.
How did I say it? Data?
Data.
I said it data?
I've always said data, and I noticed that, like, don't take this the wrong way, but I noticed like a lot of older people call it data.
Fuck you, Kevin.
So it's mostly
and
older
horse
people.
You rode in on.
I know. Whenever I talk to people about it, the people who were in the data would be like data, and the people who were like, we're gonna look at the data, and they would be like more like, we're gonna tell somebody to look at the data for us, But either way,
honey, get me the phone book so I can smack this kid upside the head. Give me the yellow pages; they're thicker.
Yeah, data.
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 I think I use them interchangeably.
What does a computer baby call its father?
I don't know.
Data. I don't know. Anyway. I think
Cracking out a dad joke already.
Yeah, I got a bunch actually. My daughter's been talking about dad jokes, or not dad jokes. For some reason, she's just been saying "ligma balls" all the time.
Yeah. So I got a message from your wife. What was it, like 2 days ago? You guys were playing video games, and she just kept telling you to lick my balls.
Lick my balls. She just turned 10 yesterday actually.
Oh, I didn't call him. Wish her happy birthday. I feel bad.
Yeah, she just turned 10 yesterday. And she's like, can I say some swears now? Like she really badly wants to like swear and stuff. And I'm like, no, because then you're going to overuse it. Just, yeah. Like, I don't think words are terrible, but like, I was like, I don't want you to get in trouble. And also I don't want you to talk back to me in swears because it'll make me angry.
Yeah. I had a similar situation with our 12-year-old, actually this weekend. We had to have one of those come to Jesus conversations, or, like dad son conversations. And it ended up taking me we ended up by the end of it about 2 hours. But one of the topics came around to like swearing. And personally, I don't give a shit. Like, I don't want my 6-year-old running around the house going, fuck,
Mm-hmm.
But he's 12, and I know he's saying a lot worse with his friends than he's saying here at the house. And so I told him, I said, when it's just you and me, like if you're trying to tell me a story or something that happened about your day, I don't care if you swear. However, if I hear it in front of your sister, your mother, and especially if I hear it in front of your grandmother, I'm going to pop you in the back of the fucking head. And he laughed and he goes, and I go, I'm not joking. Like, I don't care if you walk in here and you're telling me a story and say shit. It doesn't bother me at all. But if your grandmother hears you say shit, I'm going to pop you in the back of the head. It's just how it's going to go, buddy.
Hurt, can't take it.
Yeah. She would not be impressed with, and she's probably watching this, so hi, Mom. But yeah, if I said, you don't swear in front of ladies. And I mean, I don't follow my own message here. But in all fairness, my wife cusses like a sailor too. So, I mean, it's fair. She just shrugged over there like, yeah. But I told him, do not swear in front of your grandmother. Period. End.
That's soldier, not sailor.
Oh, sorry, soldier. Sergeant Green.
Yeah, I don't know. I remember, like, I was actually her age when I was like, around my friends who were all swearing at each other and stuff, and it's just yeah, you just do it because you're like, well, I'm not around my parents, so
yeah,
fuck it, But I didn't swear around my family until I was like an adult, because then when I was 18, I was like fucking shit and fucking shit,
balls and piss. And did you see the TikTok trend that was going around a while again? Jesus, talking is very hard today, and I apologize. It's a good thing that we're not on a podcast where I have to talk to convey my message.
Yeah. We don't want people listening to think that you have a speech deficiency.
I actually have a speech deficiency.
Really?
I had to go to speech therapy, but that's a different story. There was a TikTok trend going around where parents were lining their kids up and saying, I give you permission to say one swear word. You get to say it. This is a one-time deal. You only get to say it once. And so we did that with our kids because I was just curious what word they wanted to say. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I lined Avery, Jackson, and Jude up. No, Jackson wasn't here. It was just Avery, Jude, and Tucker. And Tucker I think he just said shit or something, and off he went, and it wasn't funny. And so I asked Jude and Avery. Avery is our youngest. Jude is our second youngest. So I asked Jude, I'm like, what word do you want to say? And he's like, I don't know. And he was like taking forever. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ, this is painful. So I said, Avery, what word do you want to say? She goes, fuck. I almost pissed my pants laughing because it was funny. There was no hesitation. She knew what word she wanted to say.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Jude ended up saying bitch, if I'm not mistaken. It was like really like anticlimactic.
I've had we were on a family walk the other day, and my daughter was talking about this kid that she always like goes back and forth with, and he was being a little shit. And so
That's
much
right,
so that
Rory,
like,
we know who you are.
yeah, so much so that like he got in trouble because she was affected by it, and he wrote her like a letter saying sorry that he was being such a shit.
Oh shit.
But at the time she was getting all like flustered, and she's like, he was just being can I swear? And I was like, sure. And she was like, asshole. Like, it was just really funny. The other day, oh wait, no. When my youngest was like 4, probably 4. We were like, so sometimes like my oldest, she'll just be hanging out in her room or whatever, and we'll send my youngest in to like, hey, go get her for dinner. Hey, go whatever. And we were like, we were just, I don't know what we were being weird, but my wife said, hey, tell Claire to get her fucking butt out here. And so my daughter ran in there and she goes, Claire, get your fucking butt out here. It was so funny. We died laughing. But she
was following orders, man.
The other day, she loves this game called Untitled Goose Game. Have you ever heard of that? Where you're goose. Yeah. So it's a really great game, and kids really love it. Because you get to play as a goose and you get to go just terrorize these villagers, like this town, you know?
It's very Eevee.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And so she just loves it. And she's like, there's a part where like, you know, you have like a list of objectives, and one of them is to like chase this kid into a phone booth. Mm-hmm. And she's like, look, Dad, I chased his ass right into that phone booth. And I was like, and then she said it again, and I was laughing so hard I couldn't like tell her like, hey, don't say that. Oh God.
I still hold strongly to the belief that Avie. So now it's Avery and Evie. It's just one. They're one person. Avery and Evie are either going to run the country or be in a prison gang. And the older they get, the more I'm leaning towards prison gang.
I really hope that she doesn't end up in prison because she's really smart. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, I don't want her to use those smarts to run a criminal empire.
I know. The other night, I love Evie. She's like my favorite. I get a kick out of her. The other night, you guys were walking down the street, and I get a call. I think it was your wife called me, right?
Oh yeah,
yeah. Jugs. Talking is hard today, but Jugs called me. It's like, hey, we're on a walk. We ran out of water. Can we stop at your house and fill up? And I'm like, yeah, of course you can. And right as you guys were walking down the street, I was going to open my window and start flipping you shit because I could hear all of you. And then Evie ate shit.
Yeah. Bad. Like
bad.
Yeah. She went like face over, like her feet went up in the air because she was running and we were like, stop, don't run so fast. And then she was like, huh? Like, I think that's what happened. And she turns and then immediately lost her balance and just her feet were like up in the air. And then I was just like, oh God. And I just run over to her and she's like, just like, it was bad.
So she rolls in here and the world is ending. Mm-hmm. She's having a meltdown and couple Band-Aids fixed her right up, but she was still in a pretty bad place until my Jess offered a fruit snack, and then the world was fine again.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. We went to Missoula, and they have a candy store in the mall called Fuzzy Wigs, and
oh really?
You can go and they have like, you know, you serve yourself, you get a bag, and they just weigh by the pound of candy, right? So we go in, and she's like. The girl behind the counter was like, would you like to try a free sample of our sour watermelon gummy bears? And Claire was like, sure. And Evie was like, I don't want any. And then she just moved on. And I was like, okay. And so then we're walking around and she's picking up things and she's like, I want that. Nah, I don't want that. You know, doing that thing that kids do where they pick something and then they put it back. Mm-hmm. And then she went over and was like, I want these. And I was like, the sour watermelon gummy bears? You want a bag of those? She's like, yeah.
But you just got offered a free sample.
Yeah. Well, you know, candy from a stranger. I guess that's good. So
Yeah. Well, I apologize, brother. I'm a little tired today.
yeah, hey, we all have those days.
Yeah.
I've been struggling. My elbow is just. I feel like I got like tennis elbow.
Do you got tennis elbow?
I don't know. I don't play tennis, but like I seriously like got to a point where I was like, ow, and it just felt like my bones were bad, and it still does. And then I went to go take the garbage out, and I racked my elbow on like the door frame, and I was just like, oh, and my kid was like, "You okay?" And I go, "No, shut up." Like, you know, when you get hurt and you don't want anybody to talk to you, you're just like,
Yeah, just leave me alone.
Shut the hell up.
I want to go to Troy's house. I want him to put Band-Aids on me.
Yeah, I
and
need to go to
want
Troy's
fruit
house.
snacks.
I need him to wrap it and kiss it and make it bitter.
Well, I was up a little late last night, and that's partially my fault. You know, the wife and I do activities during we call it kid-free week when our kids are with their other parents. And we were up last night. We played a couple games of cribbage, watched the Brewers baseball game, and then started watching Constantine. And my wife had a little too much to drink last night.
Constantine, like the show or the movie?
The movie.
That movie is so good.
I've never seen it.
Oh, I love that movie.
I'm halfway through it right now.
Keanu Reeves is so good. That movie is awesome.
Yeah.
That movie is so good.
I'm excited to finish it. Probably finish it tonight.
Did you see what's his name from Bush yet? What's his? You know the band Bush.
What's
his name? I can't remember his name. The guy who, the guy who, lead singer of Bush.
Hey Siri, who is the lead singer of the band Bush?
Gavin Rossdale sings
Gavin
in
Rossdale.
Bush.
Thank you. He, he's in that. He plays like the demon with the.
Oh
fucking,
my God, that is him, isn't it? Yeah,
where he's like, finger licking good. And he like,
okay, don't spoil it because I haven't seen the whole thing.
Oh,
yet.
yeah, sorry,
I'm
sorry.
only halfway through. The last thing that I saw was, and spoiler alert for anybody that hasn't seen the movie, what's her name? Is it Emily Blunt? Is that the chick?
It's Rachel Weisz. Rachel Weisz.
Rachel Weisz.
Weisz, whatever.
They had just walked out of the apartment after doing the thing with the cat where he went back to hell.
Yeah.
And all the demons were there.
Oh yeah.
And that's where we ended. The wife had a few too many cocktails.
Mm-hmm.
It had been a rough day. She's already mad because I told you I was going to tell this story on the podcast tonight.
Oh, okay.
So we get to bed. Let me back up. We had a really good fucking dinner last night. Really good. I made steak and asparagus. And I made 2 bundles of asparagus because when we have steak and asparagus, we always run out of asparagus really quick and we fight over it.
Mm-hmm.
Makes you have really stinky pee, but it's so fucking good.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like asparagus?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like doing the whole garlic and the little tomatoes and that.
So I did it last night, and I did avocado oil on them, and then garlic salt, and I cooked them on the Blackstone.
Nice.
Chef's kiss. They were fucking delicious. And when I do steak, now that I do it on the Blackstone, I do it like hibachi style. I do it like I put like a shit ton of spices on it, but when I cook it, I put soy sauce and a dash of lemon juice on it. But I put too much lemon juice on it last night. So steak was okay. Asparagus was bomb. I think we had like 3 pieces of asparagus left. Anyway, so we did that, had a couple cocktails, and my wife made the tragic mistake of trying to keep pace with me when it comes to cocktails.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I felt fine. I had a couple and I got a little buzzed, but she's a little person and not like an actual little person, but she's just kind of tiny. She's
a small person.
All of like 5'3".
Not even.
What are you? 5 what?
5'1", 120 pounds.
Yeah, 5'1", 120 pounds. There's not a whole lot to her. You know, I can, if I really wanted to, I probably could shot put her.
I think I could.
I think you could too. You could shot put me.
Let's get a mattress out there. We'll just chuck you off the deck. See what happens.
Do jest toss. So anyway, she tries to keep pace with me about halfway through Constantine, and it was her idea to watch it. And I'm like, I don't want to watch a movie. And she's like, we're going to watch this because I've been wanting to rewatch this movie. So about halfway through at that scene, she's like, okay, I'm ready for bed. And when my wife says she's ready for bed, it's bedtime. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Like you have 5 to 10 minutes before it's full power down and she's gone, and I'd have to carry her to the room.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay, baby, we can go to bed. So I get her in bed. I'm closing stuff up, putting the dogs away. And I go in the bedroom and she's like, my tummy hurts. And I'm like, okay, do you need anything? And she's like, I don't know. I just don't feel good. And I was like, do you want me to get you a bucket? She's like, yeah, you probably should get me a bucket. So I get her a bucket. And we're in there for probably another 15, 20 minutes. I'm watching YouTube, what I do every night before I go to bed, rubbing her back and rubbing her head. And I'm 94% sure that I heard her snore. Like, I think she was out. And all of a sudden, she sits up, scares the ever-loving shit out of me, because I was like in that stage where like you're asleep but you're not. You know what I mean? Like, and she sits up and just bleh. And thank God I had got her the bucket because, and I got to see all that lovely dinner come back up on top of popcorn that we had while we were watching the movie.
It still smells so good.
It did not.
Yeah.
But, you know, stayed up, rubbed her back, rubbed her head, held her hair for her because her hair was all a sight. So I just like wrapped it up and I grabbed it.
That was last night, you said? Or
oh, yeah.
Oh, wow. I have a story. And I'm sure that like my wife can tell lots of stories about me puking, and I'm fine with it. It's fine with that. But on our 1 year anniversary, right after we had our daughter, it was like the golden time where it was like, okay, now I can drink again. I can, you know, whatever. I'm all healed up, you know, like I'm good to go. Like it was 1 year on our 1 year anniversary, which goes to show how quickly we had a kid after we met. Anyway, after we started dating. And so we were like, okay, let's fucking go. We're going to like leave our car at home and we're just going to go places. And we're just going to like get a ride from like Melanie, right? And so like we went to Applebee's, and because Melanie was working there, she worked as a bartender there.
It's the highest class restaurant. Yep.
And well, we went to Applebee's because we were like, well, we're just gonna bounce around. Like we're gonna get food at Applebee's, then we're gonna walk down to anywhere we want to, you know.
And there's not a whole lot for restaurant selection in Helena.
Yeah. We weren't like, you know, we just had a kid, so we were like, we're not gonna fucking go to some fancy place, and we're just not fancy people either. That's like a thing. Yeah. But we went there. We walked over to, I think it was Chili's. Then we walked all over the place.
Applebee's to Chili's is a jaunt.
Okay, it wasn't Chili's. It was somewhere else. It was not Chili's. It was Applebee's to somewhere, and then I know what we did. We went to fucking Bed Bath. We walked to Bed Bath and Beyond from Applebee's, and we went and got free massages. because
that's still a jaunt. That's in the same fucking parking lot.
Maybe we got a ride. I don't know. I don't remember. I got really drunk that day, and I just remember we walked a long distance, but I don't think we probably
across the interstate.
I'm trying to remember. See, if my wife was here, she would correct me on all these things. But we walked a distance, and we probably got a ride to Bed Bath and Beyond. And then, so anyway, we got free massages because they had free massage chairs, so you could just sit down and try out all these things. And then we went and like laid on some beds and stuff. We were kind of drunk, and we ended up at Nichols. That's where we ended up. And
you guys made literally a circle.
I think we were like, at a certain point, we were like, okay, I don't want to walk anymore. Call Melanie. So we called Melanie, and then she was like our DD from then on. Anyway, the point of the story is that my wife tried to keep up with me. She's like, I'm going to get every drink that you get. And I was like, okay. And people were buying us drinks and stuff. It was really nice, and trying different things. That's where I learned about like the chocolate cake shot, the pancake shot, bunch of different ones that like we still do. And at a certain point, and I apologize if you're listening, she threw up on the bar at Nichols, the bar.
Oh
casino.
my God.
On the bar. Yeah. And so then we're like trying to clean it up, and the bartenders were like, it's fine. This happens all the time. And like, I was like, I'm not surprised. Cause like, you know, that's, you know,
everybody has a good Nichols story.
Yeah. And so then anyway, we ended up getting out of there, and she felt better. And I just remember she threw up again outside. We went out back, And I just remember looking at her, and she's holding her shoes in one hand and like walking barefoot toward Melanie's car. And we get in the car and she's like, can I have those animal crackers? Melanie had this big tub of animal crackers. So she's sitting there holding her shoes and just eating handfuls of animal crackers. And I was just like, man, I'm in love. It was so funny.
Isn't that kind of crazy though? Because I mean, like, that was me after last night, you know, like holding their hair, like at their most vulnerable point, and they'll never see it the way that we do. But I'm like,
yeah.
God damn, I love you.
Yeah,
like,
I'll never forget that. It was we had such a good time. I was at Applebee's trying to order James Bond's drink, which is like, you know, the shaken not stirred drink.
Yeah, martini.
And they were just like, we don't have any of this, but we can just mix all this booze together in a glass for you. I was like,
sold.
And I was like, they're like, it'll be like $25. I was like, no, that's okay. Never mind. I don't want to fucking do that. That's dumb. But then I Googled it and it was like one of the boozes is fictional it's only in the James Bond universe.
Really?
Or whatever. Or like one of the boozes they put into it.
I thought it was just a dirty martini, shaken, not stirred.
But it is, but he lists off the ingredients. He's like, he lists out what they are, what the types of booze are that he puts into it.
Mm.
And one of them, well, I should clarify, it's either fictional. I seem to think it was fictional, or they stopped making it in the 60s.
Oh, okay.
So this was like when Sean Connery was like the James Bond, you know, it's old. Like
it's been a while since I've seen like Sean Connery or anybody except for
Daniel Craig
in that role.
Married to Rachel Weisz.
Oh,
mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the lady from The Mummy.
That's okay. All right, yeah. I'm trying.
I've never like hated anything she's ever been in, really, but I've only seen her in Mummy and
Constantine.
So it counts.
Honestly, I haven't seen any good movies lately, but Constantine was up there.
I have a massive list on my phone of movies, and I put the little check next to it, so I tap the check and it moves down the list, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a list of unchecked and checked, and it's a couple hundred, I think, of movies that are just like, I consult that list whenever I need a movie to watch. It's a lot of horror. So
I do have an affinity. So here's my problem with the horror genre. Did you ever watch Knock at the Cabin yet?
No, not yet.
You gotta watch it.
Yeah.
Here's my problem with the horror genre is that slasher flicks don't do it for me.
Mm-hmm.
I really miss the element of being scared when watching a movie. I don't remember the last time I was scared in a movie.
I think you might be scared if you watch that Last Shift movie that they're remaking.
Okay.
Because that movie got me. If I was alone when I watched that movie, and I had to pause it because I was just like, "Ugh, this is spooky."
So for anybody watching it, first of all, subscribe. Or for watching us, subscribe to the channel while you're watching. But also, if you have any good horror recommendations, put them in the comments.
Absolutely.
Or reach out to us on Discord or Twitter, because, you know, I've loved horror for a really long time. Games that jump scare, that shit.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen a movie in a long time that doesn't have a projected jump scare. You know, you usually have like a 2 or 3 minute warning before it's coming.
Oh yeah.
And the other thing that gets me is like PG-13 horror movies. Like
I have a hard time watching them.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I'll be like, oh wow, that looks pretty good. PG-13. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
I bet it's a shit show. You know, like it's. I know that there's probably like one that I would say like, oh yeah, I really like that PG-13 horror movie. You know, back when I was 13 and I watched it and I liked it, but I just don't watch them.
The last thing that really got me, and not so much scared, but gave me that feeling, was that fucking short that I sent you on YouTube, The Kiss.
Oh yeah.
That was the last one that like made me uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And I think probably that element of uber fear that I felt when I was a young adult watching horror movies is probably gone. But that one gave me that Yeah, don't do that.
I watched one called The Dark and the Wicked. That was really good. Like, there's a lot of like ooh moments of like, and I really like a good psychological where like
Yep.
like where like you don't know what's the person doesn't know what's real, so like they go and or like just an example, like somebody comes and knocks at your door or whatever, and they have like this big long conversation, and then like they get a phone call from the person they're supposed to be talking to, and it's like, oh my god, who the fuck are you, kind of thing. I like that in a movie where it's like, oh my god, that whole time that person is not a real person. I like that, like, and the supernatural bit of that where it's like, usually it's like a demon or something like that, but I kind of like it.
I think the movie, the short film that you and I are writing is something that would fuck me up.
If we do it correctly, otherwise it'll just be a cheese
It'll
fest.
it'll be really cheesy, but the way we've written it thus far, I think it would really fuck me up for a minute.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I mean I've been watching horror movies for a really long time. But when I was younger, like they used to keep me up, sometimes. My wife has been watching them. She was like, I was watching Freddy Krueger when I was 5 years old. So whatever. So she's like pretty like hardcore. It takes a lot to get at her, but there's been a couple things that have gotten to her, and usually it's like something that makes her sad or,
Yeah.
not like scared, but like, I remember we were both like, remember the movie It Follows?
I remember the movie. I don't think I ever watched it though.
Yeah, that was one that for some reason like got a smidge under my skin when I watched it. It wasn't too bad, but I was just like, I remember waking up in the middle of the night and being like, I'm gonna shut my closet because it's dark in there. Like, I just remember being like, I don't like that. So
yeah, movies are tough for me. Games get me though. Like, yeah, we both have played through Visage. Did you finish it?
No.
Oh man, there's a couple scares in that game, and it's recorded on YouTube. My wife and I playing that, and she had mentioned to me the other day that she missed doing that, so I might get back into that too. But that's another one of those hyper fixation things. But that game, very well done.
Yeah. Graphics are really good.
Graphics are good. It's paced
well thought out scares too. Like,
yeah, it's not jump scares for the sake of jump scares.
That game freaks you out. You
Yeah.
can't replicate that with a movie.
No,
only a video game where you're controlling it and you're like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah. And I mean, so we played it. I cut a shit ton of stuff out of it, but like, I had to cut out shit because me being a little bitch, like I don't want to go down there, but I know what's down there. I don't want to go down there. Yeah, no, ain't doing it. And then, we played different stories than you did. And we had talked about some of the stories, but man, yeah, that game, that's an interesting game.
I played some Outlast actually recently.
Oh,
Outlast is one that's like hard to, it's dated now, but like,
yeah.
when I was playing it, I was just like, oh God, like it gets your heart racing.
So for those of you who haven't played Outlast, spoiler alert as well, the one that gets me every time is, do you know when you're walking down the hall, there's a guy in a wheelchair, he's just sitting there.
Oh yeah.
And then you walk into the room and everybody's just sitting there watching TVs, and you're expecting a jump scare the whole time, and there's nothing there. And you're like, well, fuck, there's nothing here. And then you walk out of that room and that motherfucker jumps out of that. Yeah. Oh my God. I come out of my seat the first time I saw that.
I've played that part the second time I played it the other day, and I just didn't remember, So I was walking through and I was just like, I'm just going to sneak by these guys. They're watching TV. And then like I walk back and I'm like, oh yeah, I did exactly what you did. And I was like, Jesus Christ, I should have known.
Yeah, I knew this was coming. Or the one where you're like sliding through and it's like little piggy and fucking grabs you. Yeah.
That game's nuts.
That game. Well, there's a second one, and I think there's even a third now.
There's a second one, and then there's like a DLC.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think the DLC is called Whistleblower. something. And I'll never forget that because it's like somebody shushing themselves, but when you look, they're holding a finger and shushing. That's like the title or whatever is like, yeah. Because you're like, oh, they're shushing. And then you kind of realize that they're holding a severed finger. Fucking weird.
That's a good game. Well, I've told you about my hyperfixations, and I've kind of talked to them ad nauseum. My new hyperfixation is I really want to learn a new language.
Okay. Right on.
And so I've been thinking about like practical applications of languages, and I tried to learn Spanish when I was a little bit younger, and it just wasn't there. So I've really tried to like go outside of Spanish because Spanish was in class and you took some French classes and so the one that I'm going to try to learn is German. And I know it's a very aggressive language. I like the way that they say shit. I like how aggressive it is right?
I like those videos.
But I've looked into it and some of their words are extremely interesting the way that they say them. Do you know the German word for brassiere?
I do not.
It's stop 'em from flop 'em.
So you're telling me you're not really learning German?
No, I'm not learning German. I set that one up for a long time.
That was a good setup for that one. Holy shit. Like
stop 'em from flop 'em.
Oh my God. Did you ever play the game?
Wait, did I have you hook, line, and sinker?
Yeah, pretty much. Like I was just like, oh, interesting, a new language, huh? But then like when you started like smiling, I was like, wait, something fishy.
I can never do it without this smile. That's why I like added all that filler there because I'm like, I can't laugh. He's gonna know it's the joke. I can't laugh.
Anybody who was like older, like my age, like our age, you might remember a game called Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem is what it was called. And it was a game where as you lost your mind, right, you would start to hallucinate, right? And so like if you saw something that would mess you up, your like sanity meter would go up. And that game was awesome because it would like the volume on your TV would like start going up and down, but it was just the game doing it, And you'd like be walking and then all of a sudden you'd just be like falling into a floor, and then you'd like wake up and be like, oh, what's happening? That was another really good game, like psychological game.
Okay.
But it was really old. It's like 20 years old at this point. Anyway, that was just the last thing I want to talk about games. But.
Yeah. Good horror is hard to do no matter what genre you're doing.
It always just keeps like, upping the game. Like, Exorcist was an alien and stuff like that. Like people their brains went out of their ears at those, because they were like, that's the scariest thing I've ever seen in my life,
Yeah.
But it's always like horror is one of those things where it's like always constantly, rom-coms are always the same, but like, to one up horror, it's always being one upped and changing and different. Horror's kind of special.
Yeah.
In that way. So, but hey, I think I got a joke. I'm not going to set it up and be a jerk and make me fall for it. I want to look you up on Snopes.
Dude, I told you I saw that joke 2 weeks ago. And typically I have to write them down. I'm like, I'll never forget that. Stop them from flopping.
Let's see. Okay. Okay, I got a good one.
Okay, can I take a drink before you tell it? Because I laugh easy.
I'm telling it right now. My friends and I started a band.
Okay.
Called 99 Megabytes.
Haven't got a gig yet, have you?
Still haven't gotten a gig.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all. That's all I got. Son of a bitch. How dare you ruin my joke?
Sorry. I've heard that one.
Yeah. It's not a bad joke.
No, it's a good joke. It's a real good joke.
Well, is that it? Are we is that the end?
I think that's our time. And we're getting the head nod. Thank you so much for listening to the Drop Dad podcast or watching it on YouTube. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. All the social media will be around us. It's pretty much at Drop Dad Pod everywhere you can go. Join the Discord. Follow Kevin and I on Twitter. And we need to get more active on our Twitters.
I know. I always just don't really think about doing it. I get a lot of random. I got one that doesn't seem so random. It's like a Pokemon fan account.
Oh,
I don't know. At least it's
You
not a
have-
Russian porn bot.
Yeah, you have this spectrum.
Yeah. I have 30 something followers and they're just like my mom and then
What if it's
18 porn bots.
What if it's the blow up doll coming back for revenge?
Oh God. Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to see that wrinkly. It was gross. It was weird wrinkled up too. It just looked like I don't know what. It looked like a wrinkly sack of skin or something like that. And I was like, then you blow it up and you're like, oh, it's worse.
The granny every time. I'll never forget that either.
Get the granny every time.
Yeah. Thank you so much for watching, guys. We really appreciate it. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, your morning, your night, whatever it is. And we'll catch you in the next episode. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.